Hi everyone, my name's Cathy. Welcome to Skint Living UK. I wanted to thank all the new subscribers and all the lovely people who've been leaving such great comments lately. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, my name's Cathy. I live in Liverpool in the northwest of England, and basically I live on a tiny income with my grown-up son, about £800 a month. He is working full time and he is saving as much as he can for a deposit in his own home, and I'm paying off the last debt that I've got one. I had 8 about just over a year ago, now I'm down to 1, and I live on my tiny teacher's pension, which is less than £300 a month. A little bit of eBay sales because I'm getting rid of clutter, and the money I get from my son. So today I wanted to have a little witter on about looking poor videos. They sort of pop up every now and again, and I thought, right, I need to talk about this. I'm putting my glasses on because I need reading glasses and I've made some notes, so please bear with me with the glare. Yeah, I'm off lights. So let's get into it. So in these videos they tell you to dress down to hide your wealth. Says she's sitting here in her pyjamas, looking scruffy. Yeah, they spout how millionaires and billionaires like Jeff Bezos and, dare I say it, Elon Musk dress down, and you should too. They say if you dress down, you will save money. Drive an old beat-up car and no one will know that you've got a big income or have lots of investments or really wealthy. This is what the rich used to do in Victorian times. So you're talking about the 1800s going into early 1900s. The rich would dress up in their version of poor clothes and go, what they would do would go slumming. So they would go around poor neighbourhoods, look down on the poor with both glee and disdain. In them days, they thought being poor was a sign of moral failure, because they were very religious then. And that the poor should be ashamed of their lot as they got themselves into that position. They had soup kitchens in them days, and there would always be a preacher, always some preacher waving his finger, telling them how they were failing in life, telling them that they needed to do X, Y and Z, and that they've turned away from God and that's why they were like that, and basically spouting bile at people. Basically they thought that the poor were ignorant and immoral. I half expect preachers to be reinstated these days in food banks so they can wave the finger at you, telling you how you fail in society, failing your children and your family, and how immoral and how ashamed you should be of your circumstances. I do genuinely half expect them to be doing that, or have them outside while there's a queue while the people are waiting to go inside. Because things have got that bad. I do feel like we've sort of returned to Victorian values where people are doing gig work with no job security, no pension, no sick pay, no holiday pay, no rise in pay. When I was a supply teacher from 2008-9 onwards till today, it's the same rate of pay. It's never gone up for a teacher. The teaching assistants has gone up. That's because minimum wage has gone up. But the actual teacher's pay is exactly the same as it was in 2008. And again, no holiday pay, no sick pay, no pension, no nothing. How was that not like the Victorian times? Because they were the same people who would work for a day and got paid for a day. But MPs are so disconnected, politicians are so disconnected from that. They choose not to join the dots because it doesn't affect them personally, does it? And their little echo chamber around them doesn't affect their friends, family and sphere of influence, does it? They're not asked. I've got a question for you. Do you think the rich's attitude to the poor has actually changed since then, since Victorian times? I think, if anything, it's got worse. The right-wing media, mainstream media, love going on about benefit cuts because we're all feckless, we're all lazy, no one wants to go to work, they should be just ashamed of themselves because you're sitting on your bum and claiming benefits. How's that different from Victorian times? They love making these trashy programmes. What was it called? Benefit Street, where they portray people just being interested in shouting around the streets, getting drunk, maybe doing drugs, while sitting on benefits, trashing their houses, living in a pigsty, because they love showing all the houses looking grubby and grotty. Not the reasons behind it, why people haven't got the money to paint the walls, why people haven't got the money to buy a carpet. There's a charity set up now where a lady takes carpet from empty houses, like a tenant has left, and the housing association or whoever owns it lets them take the carpets, and she fits them into people's houses, gets workmen to fit it into people's houses who can't afford to buy a carpet. So there's, as well as bed poverty, there's carpet poverty. It's just never ending. Literally carpet poverty, people have got no flooring because they literally, after they've paid the rent, they've got bugger all left. This is like we live in one of the richest countries in the world and people haven't got money for a bed or a carpet. How was that different from Victorian times? They also go on about clothes. They say, about the dressing down and that, but if you've got no money, you can't afford new clothes anyway, can you? Yeah, if you can't afford a carpet, you certainly can't afford new clothes. They go on about driving an old beat-up car. Cars are the second biggest wealth killer after housing. So after paying rent or mortgage, cars are the next big dent in your finances. They're expensive to buy, they're expensive to run, and now they're really, really expensive to insure, because insurance companies are one of the biggest grabbers companies ever going, aren't they? It's money for literally nothing. So if you're on a low income, you can't even contemplate buying a car these days. There's about 20% of people in the UK who don't have access to a car. That's because their partner hasn't got one, they can't afford one, or the family can't afford one, so they can't use a car. And in some ways that's good because it's good for the environment. But I think if you're really struggling with your finances, say you've got a few credit card debts and things like that, a car is a simple solution to getting rid of your debt, get rid of the car. And maybe then you can reevaluate whether you need to really replace it, because once you've got used to not having a car, you might think, I'm not going back to that. But that also ties into the fact where governments won't put money into public transport. When the buses were deregulated in the 80s with Thatcher, London's buses weren't deregulated. It's funny that, isn't it? Funny how London is always treated differently. I know it's the capital city, but it's always treated differently with everything. Anyway, let's go back to these silly looking poor videos about looking broke. But really, what's the underlying message there? Maybe it's a thing only the wealthy, or dare I say it, the comfortable should consider. It's not for you, because you're poor already, so you don't matter. This is a little tip for the middle income people, isn't it? The middling people, the middle class people, the comfortable. I think the word comfortable is a way of making it more palatable to the middle class. Oh, I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy, I'm just comfortable. I think it definitely sits better with the middle class, isn't it? I think classism is alive and well in this country. It's not different since the Victorian times at all. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, share and subscribe and all those doodads that they always say. I hope you found what I've witted on about interesting. And let me know in the comments below. And I hope to see you soon. Bye for now.